My friends, how are you? It is fantastic to see you for yet another video, but unfortunately, I have some bad news for you. So I hope you are sitting down, not driving, not operating any heavy machinery or anything like that. Because we're finding out that despite all the hype about Donald Trump being good for the economy, you guys remember that? We got to vote for Donald Trump because he's good for the economy. Never mind the fact that he crashed the damn thing the last time. We need Donald Trump in office to make the economy better. Well, the bad news, my friends, is Donald Trump is absolutely useless when it comes to having a good economy in America. And to me, that is absolutely shocking because I cannot believe that most of the world witnessed him crash the economy last time through his sheer incompetence and stupidity. And then they came back 4 years later and said, we want more of that again. Donald Trump, my friends, is once again destroying America's economy. Yeah, I don't know why that's such a shocker. But the thing we're going to focus in on today is credit card debt and credit scores. So for the first time since 2008, since the Great Recession, credit scores have plummeted at the fastest rate since that time in American history. And my friends, when are we going to learn in this country? We have got to stop putting fucking Republicans in the White House because it's the same goddamn thing every time. A Republican comes into the White House, absolutely destroys the economy. A Democrat gets elected, spends 4 to 8 years working on recovering and fixing America's economy. Then, through that time, through the 4 to 8 years, right-wing media like Fox News and the next Republican that's running for president spends that time blaming the Democrat for everything that they fucked up, and then we end up electing a Republican yet again. It's a repeating cycle in America, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's goddamn frustrating watching it happen over and over and over again. That has been the cycle my entire life. Elect a Republican, destroy the fucking economy, Democrat comes in, works really hard to fix the fucking thing, then we end up with another goddamn Republican. What I'm starting to find out is that these Republicans are absolutely useless when it comes to governing a country. They are really good at saying stuff. A bunch of bullshit comes out of their mouth nonstop, but when it comes to actually putting in the work, they fail every fucking time, over and over. And if I had one wish, my friends, it would be that America would finally fucking learn that and start making good decisions when it's time to go vote for the next president or your next member of the Congress or Senate, because every time, over and over, it's the same thing, and it's super frustrating. So anyways, we are on the topic of credit scores, credit card debt, things like that. As like I said, the credit scores are plummeting under Donald Trump's failed leadership. The credit card debt and the delinquencies, the late payments on credit cards, are soaring because of Donald Trump's failed leadership. And we have got to talk about that and why that is a problem in this fucking country right now. So obviously, Donald Trump has nothing but poor economic policies. We have watched it since he's been in office this time. Last time, he kind of rode on Obama's economy for a while and took all the credit for it, and that sucked, but it was better than what he's doing now. Fine, you want to sit there and you want to take credit for something you had nothing to do with? Fine, whatever. That's better than what we're doing now. It was annoying at the time, wasn't it? But now it's better than what's going on now. And then he started fucking up manufacturing. They started losing jobs, the economy started to turn down, and then COVID hit, and we found out that Donald Trump truly is a fucking idiot, and he completely botched that entire thing, now didn't he? And absolutely obliterated the fucking thing. Well, this time, it is, you can't even hide behind COVID, because this is completely because of Donald Trump's incompetence and stupidity, and possibly that he's evil. It's starting to look like he wants to bankrupt Americans on purpose. Not starting to, but you guys get the fucking point. But who saw this coming, right? So Donald Trump comes into office, and for some reason he's hell-bent on revenge against all the other countries in the world. He goes on with his victim complex, like Donald Trump does, and talks about how all these other countries have been treating us unfairly, and the only way to fix that is through tariffs. He went so far as to call the USMCA a bad deal, the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement that was signed by Donald Trump and touted by Donald Trump as the greatest trade deal in history the first time that he did it in his first term. But anyways, he comes in and he starts launching all these fucking trade wars against all these other countries, lies to the American people and says these other countries pay the tariffs, which, my God, we should all know that that's not true, but we don't. We should, but we don't. And then that causes first it caused the supply chain to get really fucked up, because you remember when Donald Trump fucking hit, I think it was 125, 145% tariffs to the American people on, I think it was Chinese-made products, and then the boats stopped coming in. You guys remember that? There were so many videos of the ports being fucking empty, dock workers not having any work, the port truck drivers not having any fucking work, and immediately Taco Don, he backpedaled on that and dropped them down to the low price of something like 30%. 30% is still an extreme tariff. That is super fucking high. For anybody that's not following along, that doesn't get it, it means we pay 30% more on everything that we buy, right? So we have this supply chain crisis that is kind of okay-ish now. It's still gonna get fucked up. That's what's going to happen. But anyways, it lowered it to 30%. So we've got all these fucking tariffs, all these fucking trade wars going on that is causing small businesses to go under. It's causing people to lose their jobs in manufacturing and transportation. That's where we're seeing a lot of it as of right now. Subject to change. Subject to change. And people losing their jobs, their money isn't going as far as it used to before. So what typically happens when people are just trying to survive? Well, they get out their fucking credit cards and they start maxing those fucking things out. And it's not necessarily because those people are irresponsible. It's because they're hungry. It's because they need to put food in the house, need to get groceries, need to put gas in the car so they can keep going to work. And since Donald Trump has increased the price by at least 30% on the American people, people's credit scores are now dropping. Yeah, can you fucking believe it? It's not that shocking. And look, what I'm trying to say here is credit scores are extremely important to the American people to constantly be raising those things or keeping them at a good level, because without credit, it's really hard to do fucking anything in this country. If, say, you wanted to start your own business or, big investments, things like that. You guys understand how credit works, I'm sure. But credit is kind of king these days. If you have good credit, then you can kind of do a lot of shit with it. But because Donald Trump is an incompetent, failed president of the United States, people are having to lean on those credit scores, or those credit cards rather, to try to survive. And we all know that's a really bad investment, right? You don't want to put your McDonald's on a credit card. You probably don't want to put groceries on a credit card, but that's just kind of the fucking way that it is. And every bit of this is because of Donald Trump's failed economic policies. Now, a lot of people will come in here into the comments because, unfortunately, our counterparts on the right, they don't really like reading stuff. They like their thoughts kicked in into their fucking heads by Fox News, so they don't like looking shit up. They just like being told what they think, and they go off and they go on with those things. But we'll get the people here and there that will say, I don't know what you're talking about. My credit score is just fine. And my friends, I am sick to fucking death of people using their personal experience and saying that that is an overall measure of America's economic health. I hear that shit all the fucking time, and it drives me nuts. A couple weeks ago, I was talking about how trucking, you're seeing signs in the trucking industry that things are like getting pretty light out here, that there's not as much work to go around. I'll give you another example. Last night, I parked my truck at 1 a.m. You know how, in a truck stop, do you know how hard that is to do? Get a parking spot in a truck truck stop at 1 in the morning. I parked no fucking problem. There were like 3 spots still open. That's a bad sign. You don't want to see that shit at all, right? But you get it all the time. You know, people, when I explain the economic damage that Donald Trump is causing, you measure that by what's going on in the world, in the country rather. Donald Trump, well, the world too, because of all of Donald Trump's fucking tariffs, and we are heavily tied in with other countries financially. But you get the point that I'm trying to make. Anytime something gets fucked up or is good, you have to take all the data into consideration, is what I'm trying to say. You know, when I talk about trucking, like things are starting to go really bad out here, there's signs of things that are going on, I will get called a liar, my friends. They'll say you're lying. You're still standing in a truck right now. Everything must be a-okay. But we are actually seeing the results of Donald Trump being a fucking failure, my friends. So as Donald Trump continues to cause absolute destruction to America's economy, you're going to see this get worse and worse and worse. As people need to max out their credit cards, their scores are going to drop. They need to pull more credit cards because the other ones are already maxed out. And I don't mean to laugh at that. I'm not laughing at it, because it does suck when that's how you're trying to survive. You get to a point where there's it feels hopeless. There's no way to pull yourself out of that. But we're going to see, as we continue to go, this continue to escalate, I was going to say it continuing to snowball, but I don't really know that I like that term, and that's why I was half giggling over here while I was saying that. It's going to continue to escalate. People are going to lose more and more jobs. People are going to take on more and more debt. Donald Trump is going to continue to crush the fucking economy, and everything's going to get fucking worse, is the point that I'm trying to make. And we're seeing it in a lot of different ways. You guys remember last month the job numbers came out. Even after they fired the person that reports the job numbers, I don't remember what their official job title is, but even after they fired that person, they come out and put out the job numbers, and they're like, yeah, we can't even hide this, you know? We're still losing jobs in this fucking country because of Donald Trump's failed leadership. The supply chain still broken. I think we're going to see it break even more because at 30%, and people are already maxing out their credit cards, lowering their credit scores. 30% tariffs is what I meant. We are just at the point now in America where just about everybody out there is having to pick and choose what it is they can and can't afford. And many, many people are starting to go without now. Maybe not starting to. It's probably been going on for a few months. And that's where we're going to see what I'm trying to explain is all this shit works together, right? Every bit of it. You over there watching this video, it's important to me that you do well financially so you can keep buying shit so that I can keep driving this fucking truck. And if you are struggling financially and you're unable to buy things, and more people are struggling financially and unable to buy things, that leads to a point where I start to struggle financially. I am unable to buy things, and then the businesses that put this shit in the fucking truck so that I can take it to the next place, they're going to be struggling because they don't have as much volume going out of there, to where they lay off their employees, and then those people start struggling. And that's the point that I'm trying to get across to people. So I wish, my friends, I know I always say in my videos, if I just had one wish in the world, and then I say something like different every time, turns out I have a lot of fucking wishes. But I wish that people would stop and stop looking at just their personal situation and saying everything is a-okay on my end, therefore the economy is absolutely fantastic, and start looking at the bigger picture of what's actually going on in America. Because what's actually going on in America is Donald Trump is an incompetent, failed, possibly evil, definitely evil leader in America that is bending you over right now and making you take it, all in the interest of Donald Trump having a $400 million Qatari jet and a ballroom. Remember, Donald Trump said the ballroom was his gift to America. Do you guys remember that? I bet you, once the ballroom's completely constructed and open, I don't know if I was going to say open for business. I don't know much about the ballroom business, if I'm being honest for you. I bet if we walked our asses up to that ballroom and tried to go in the door, they probably wouldn't let us. Do you know why? Because that ballroom is not a gift to the American people. It is a gift to Donald Trump personally and to the wealthy elites of America that are making more and more money off of our backs as they increase the tariffs on us, causing us to have less while they have more. Does anyone else see a fucking problem with that, or is that just me? So anyways, we're going to keep an eye on this, we being me. There's no one else in the truck. It's just me all by myself. But you get the fucking point. We are going to keep an eye on this and continue to point out how Donald Trump is causing all these individual things to fall in America's economy, and how that leads to destruction on the bigger picture for everyone. But ever since Donald Trump has come into office on the second term, there is literally no good news coming out of this administration. No job growth, no growth in wages. The deficit's going to absolutely explode under the big beautiful bill. Higher prices for the American consumers. Remember when they wanted the price of eggs to be lower, and now everything costs more instead? God, there's just so much more to it. Job losses, all that shit is going to continue to happen. And at the end of the day, by the time you're all done with all of that bullshit, the only thing you have left is credit card debt at a 30% interest rate, and you're still fucking hungry while Donald Trump continues to enrich himself off of your work. America, when are we going to figure this out? When are we going to figure out that, one, a Republican has no business being president of the United States until they get their shit together, and I don't see that fucking happening. But more importantly, when you elect a person that was born a fucking, well, I don't know if he was a billionaire, but born very wealthy with a silver spoon in his mouth, fucking spent his whole life being a spoiled fucking brat, then grew up to build his empire off of defrauding and bankrupting the working class Americans, lying that they didn't do good enough work, and then tying them up in litigation so that Donald Trump never had to pay for the work he had to be done. And then on top of all that shit, when he comes into office, stealing from his own support, his own base, with a fucking meme coin to enrich himself by billions of fucking dollars. When is America going to figure out that that might not be a good fucking idea? Donald Trump is crashing this shit. And now, those are the facts. All the information that has come out, all the data that you can track has all been bad news ever since Donald Trump came into office. And I want to close this on, you cannot blame Joe Biden. Because under Joe Biden, every metric that we're talking about when it comes to Donald Trump's failed leadership, all of those numbers were improving because Joe Biden was actually competent at his job. Sure, he was old. Sure, he had some old man moments here and there. Absolutely, I agree with that. But when it comes to the ways you measure how the economy is doing, Joe Biden was getting shit done. Donald Trump is fucking shit up. And that is what's going on, my friends. Anyway, with that said, I got to get to work. I thought I was off today. They said, we don't have anything for you. And then they called and said, we got something for you. So I need to get my ass back to work and listen to what I just said. That's another indicator that things aren't fucking great out here. Anyways, love you guys. Bye now.